He won by a much bigger margin.
The Dan Yorke State of Mind program is brought to you in part by Lookout Rhode Island and Taco Comfort Solutions.
You know, if I had a couple bucks for every time a journalist in this community during this campaign, especially in the general election, suggested that the Republican nominee was on the heels of the Democratic governor, or that he was staving her off, or that he was holding on, or any of those things, I'd have at least some premium beer money, now wouldn't I? And I'd love to, at some point, gather some of these objective journalists who would make these assertions and who I think, as I've been telling you on both this forum and on radio on WPRI weekdays 3 to 6, almost willed or tried to will a dead heat in this race when the evidence should have been, despite $5 million spent by the Republican nominee, that this thing never should have been close. It's kind of a fascinating thing, and of course we're all brilliant after the election, myself included, right? But these are some of the things that we might talk with the governor about. Now, disclaimer, and I'm kind of done with these disclosures and disclaimers, to be honest with you, but during the campaign season, both in the primary and in the general election, I did not have the governor on the show. I did not have him on the radio show because of my relationship with him. He's a friend. I supported him. I voted for him, and I helped him a little bit. And so I felt like that might be pulling your leg. And I wanted you to be clear about where I stood. Now he's the governor for 4 years, and you know, who knows, down the line, not tonight, but down the line, we might have a battle or two, and I look forward to it. But a recap of the big two races from Tuesday night.
So I took 2 phone calls tonight, one from my opponent, who congratulated us on our victory. And just a few minutes ago, from the President of the United States.
Governor Dan McKee declares victory with 58% of the votes in the gubernatorial race, comfortably beating his Republican opponent, Ashley Kalus. 12 News political analyst Joe Fleming says the winning margin was bigger than expected.
The margin of Dan McKee's victory was a lot bigger than I think anybody expected in the state of Rhode Island. Polling showed him with a double-digit lead, but this was the size of a victory people did not expect.
Rhode Island Democrats won all 5 statewide offices and the 2 congressional seats, too. Seth Magaziner defeats Alan Fung in the highly contested race to fill Jim Langervin's seat.
Thank you for putting your faith in me. You have my commitment that I will fight hard for our state. I will fight to make it easier for working people to get ahead.
Alan Fung himself says the Democrats came home in a historically blue state, congratulating Magaziner, while the congressman-elect says he's ready for the job.
I am in this to represent all Rhode Islanders, regardless of party. You have my commitment. I will not stop fighting for you.
Magaziner made a really strong effort to get the Democrats to come back. Even Alan Fung said last night, Democrats went home, and that's what cost him the election. So I think there's no question Magaziner's campaign emphasized getting the Democratic vote back, and it worked for him.
So lots to talk about. Congratulations.
Thanks, Dan.
Good to see you.
Yeah, great to be here.
The notion that you weren't expected to win by so much is intriguing to me, because at the beginning of the primary season, I think despite the mounting evidence that Ashley Kalus, the Republican nominee, was going to bring a ton of dough to the table, people like me were saying this thing should not be a contest. $5 million gets you a lot of attention. Interestingly, $5 million doesn't get you a lot of votes at the end, at least in this situation. What's your take?
I think the take is that that the base of support that I have is, like I mentioned, that's why I mentioned when I started off my talk the other night, very short comments, but I think about the same thing that that you think about, or that a person in any community thinks about. They think about their family. They think about how we make our lives better for the people that are in our lives. And I think that's the one thing that doesn't show up in any polling. Is how many times did I say polls come and go? Polls come and go from the primary to the general election. That doesn't get caught in any poll.
You pay attention to polls.
We pay attention to them, but they come and go. We know that, and but the fact of the matter is that you don't capture that thing that I have in common with the people that live in the state of Rhode Island, right? Is that my efforts have been all about the same things that are important to them, right? Whether it's education, whether it's income. You know, we're talking about hitting education levels in Massachusetts by 2030. We're talking about increasing per capita income for the families that live in the state of Rhode Island and making those investments that way. I don't think that resonates. When the polling is interesting, and by the way, I'm a political science major. I actually have a degree in this, so this, you know, if you took me out of this seat, I could really tell you even more in depth what's going on with the polling. But when polling is done, the questions that are asked are to skew the result of the poll. So if I wanted to frame you, Dan, in a bad way, to get a number, even if I was your campaign manager, if I skewed the questions in a way, I want to see your absolute bottom. So I will create the questions in a way that will bring you to your knees, and I'll see where you are at the absolute bottom. And the same thing is true when polls are done, right? They're not necessarily to measure the people's interest in the work.
The Joe Flemings of the world, who's our most respected pollster in the state, would agree with you, depending on the objective of the poll. But he would suggest that his polls were pretty neutral in their approach. Although when you ask questions like about the Pawtucket project, for instance, right?
Of course.
When you put a $60 million expense front line up, which is really an amortized number as opposed to the first put, we don't have to get into that now. We can. But even those, and he admitted to me, here as we discussed, talk shop over the course of the season, that is true. That the way you ask the question will, in very many ways, obviously bring you a certain result. But in general, this was a small two-digit expected victory early on, and then the last few weeks and the debates and the yearning I think the media has for it to come down to the wire, because that's the most exciting thing for them. And I'm part of it. But, I feel the older I get, the more countercultural I get again about how we deal with this kind of stuff. Just because you got the money, it's funny. You have to have the money to get the respect of the media. And then when you have the money, it's almost as if they will you to the finish line. But the people seem to have a different perspective.
Yeah, that's my point. I don't think it gets bought into polling. Me being in every community in the state of Rhode Island, all 39 cities and towns, touring the farms in every community, touring all the small businesses, going back and having relationships with the municipal leaders that go along, along and lasting, right? So when you start talking about, Matt, the work that you've done working with the Gold Star families or the veterans, and then reflecting that in your budget, that never gets centered in the polling. And what does in campaigns, and campaigns is different than governing, it does create the notion of, all of a sudden becomes a popularity contest, right? Even the debates or the forums. I've been joking with my friends. Some of the questions are like putting a big jar of jelly beans on the table, right? And if you guess how many jelly beans, I guess, oh, you're closest, you're the governor. So the nature of the campaigns are different, and I think that we have to take that in perspective. So I never really felt as though that we didn't have the attention of the voters or the people who live because of the work we've done. The question was going to be whether the turnout would be good.
Yeah, I think it's probably reflected in these. What I think I hear you saying, and we could do this all night because I find this fascinating. You build constituencies with the work. Yeah. They may not be reflected in the polling data. For instance, Ashley Kalis had the unmitigated, not only gall but stupidity to suggest that you had no interest in small business. Yeah. Which was Governor Raimondo's Achilles heel during COVID, that you were out there as the small business advocate cloud and enforced funding, and the small business community knows the work. I mean that might have been one of the dumbest and poorly strategically placed thoughts that she had. Never mind the acidic nature of her campaign, but to suggest that, people said, wait a second.
Yeah,
right?
As Lieutenant Governor, we organized a new group. I think we almost got 1,500 to 2,000 small businesses in the coalition, right? Put up bulletin boards on the highway.
And they got money, and they got help.
Lobbied for funding that would come into the small businesses that need the help. And then within the first week of me being in office in March, I knew that there was at least $30 million that was promised but never allocated, and I went and found it, and then we allocated almost $6,000, $5,000 grants.
Yeah,
so
people don't forget
they
that.
know that, and that's what doesn't get reflected.
Give me a minute on. And again, for those who didn't vote for you, people feel like this is a softball question, but I'm not concerned about it. Tell me about the beating you took.
Yeah.
Tell me about the beating you took in the primary, in the general, this ILO investigation that has not materialized in any way, that would have if urgent prior to the election. I'm pretty sure. You know, you're kind of a hayseed. You really don't have any acumen. You're corrupt. You're a criminal.
Yeah. So I think I mentioned this before. You know, the attacks really weigh heavy on, especially unwarranted attacks, right? Unfair attacks weigh heavy on my family for sure. But it doesn't really impact the decisions that I would make in terms of being governor and trying to put good efforts in to help the people in the state earn more money and that type of thing. I would liken it, and I've said this tongue in cheek. So it's every day I walk through a playground. That's the way I look at it, to get to work, to get to school. And I had 6, 7, 8 people jump me every day. And that's what has, in terms of the coverage and the opponents and that type of thing. But every day I got to work. And every day we made sure that the state was safer by getting people vaccinated when we were the worst vaccinated state in the country, now #1. And I would go back the next day, walk through the same playground, and I would have the same, adversary type of relationship. And then the media, like you said before, in some ways say, well, that's a fair fight. And but then you go to work, and then you get the best unemployment rate in the history of the state of Rhode Island, and second fastest recovering economy in the country. And so every day you walk through there, and then you dealt with the reality, as you talked about, and then you went to work. And so that's for me, that's the experience. That's the way I've experienced it. But campaigns are different than the governing.
All right, well, this notion of 4 more years is real, and when we come back, we'll talk about what they might look like. Stay with us.
I got an email from someone last night, and they said, think about your journey. Think about what brought you to the podium tonight. And it was one of my friends from the other side of the aisle. And I said, we're going to bring people together in this state of Rhode Island like we've never seen before, and we're going to achieve levels that we only have dreamed of in the past.
What does that mean?
I thought it was a pretty good line.
It was a pretty good line. I thought it was
I think that we
a terrific. By the way, I thought it was a terrific campaign speech, or acceptance speech. I think you were at your most relaxed, and I think you made some points. But this notion of bringing people together is a political default statement. Nobody wants to divide necessarily, unless you're Donald Trump. How do you get there from here is the question, and what does it mean to bring people together? It's said so often, I don't even know what it means anymore.
So to me, what it means is making sure that the direction that we take as a state, which I think is going to be really positive, includes everybody that wants to be included into the discussion. So and I'm going to get a little wonky here for you, but the Rhode Island 2030 plan was something that we did during the state of emergency like we've never seen before, and we included in those categories hundreds of people in terms of what the green economy should look like, what should the transportation look like, what should health look like, what should education look like, higher education, what should equity look like, right, in housing. And so it's not just it's not just saying it. It's so easy to say, so difficult to do. It's bringing parties together in a way where they they agree on an effort. So for instance, making a goal and stating that we'll hit Massachusetts levels on or before in education 2030, that is an easy statement to make. How many reports do we get out that says, oh, we're in a crisis, oh, that's our wake-up call, and then we do nothing? It's going to be a big effort to get people who are going to help with that to agree that that's a goal.
Listen, COVID blew that education piece up, right? But you have no excuses now over 4 years, right? And you've got two separate challenges. You've got the control of the city of Providence, because the state is running that, and then you've got the macro issue of the state performance, and of course the national condition, which is to make a comeback after the COVID deficits that are being created. They are two separate things, though, right? Providence and the city of Providence and the state. What tangible work are we going to see in the city first?
Yeah. So I think you're already starting to see it. Leadership with the superintendent, Javier Martinez. He's a champion in the true sense of the word for the students, and then we're certainly going to bring families together in a way to show how important it is for their children to do well in school.
But is there a metric where you think you can discharge this responsibility and give it back to the city? Do you want to do that?
I think the metric is the commitment to reach Massachusetts levels by 2030. You can't do that without really showing significant progress in Providence. And I've already met with the mayor-elect, soon-to-be Mayor Smiley, talking about this.
He wants to give you patience. He wants to give you a couple of years. He wants the state, but he wants a more active role at the table.
Yeah, and we're going to give him an active role because we got a negotiated contract that's coming up in the first half of next year. It's doing the work, Dan, right? I mean, there's no magic formula here to do the work. It's preparation, and then it's not getting ahead of the effort by leading a charge that nobody is willing to work with you on.
In the meantime, throughout the state, you want to replicate that which you did in Cumberland, which is to build an additional educational program. By the way, can we not forget, please, that you, with others, but you principally built the mayoral academies. It was an alternative education. This notion that you're the typical Democrat, that people, the battle that you had inside the party, even with the teacher unions, one of which came with you in this race, which is another whole show, stands on its own, but sometimes is forgotten. But anyway, you want to build what you did in Cumberland, and you have like 12 to 15 towns that are ready to do it already, quickly. Is that a foothold in your education move?
It's a big piece of it to...
and explain in 30 seconds what it is.
It's a slice of it, but I mean, what needs to happen is the primary is our district schools and the work that they do, but also there's a responsibility in communities to really embrace education, and one of the ways that we can do that is with local municipal type of community centers that we have money in the budget, got passed, and we're going to do three things with that, Dan. The communities that want it, they're going to pay a little bit of, they're going to do a matching strategy with the $47 million we got to distribute for these offices, and we already have, almost in total 29 different interests from maybe 15 different communities right now. So you're going to build these things, but the three things we're going to focus on is really exciting because it fits right into the 2030 plan. One is to increase outcomes in the classrooms on reading and math. That's going to fit into the goal of Massachusetts. Two is, how are you going to help with jobs to increase your per capita income in your community? And three is the health quotient, which we can measure. How healthy are we getting as a result of that investment in those centers? So when you hit those three things, you really are improving the state of Rhode Island. And the more communities that we get to volunteer to do it, and we have a good sampling right now.
Just to be clear, it's a separate building, it's a separate door, it's a separate program, and it separately reports to City Hall rather than to the school board, which is a trail you've left in Cumberland. I think it's a successful one, but it comes with a little bit of abrasion. The status quo and school committee types don't like it, didn't like it then, don't like it now.
That's part of the wall to break down, and I've been writing about this on record for years, right, progressively with different op-eds and reports I've commissioned that says this is a community thing. And so we're going to have a declaration of education in the state of Rhode Island that's going to get signed on by as many people who want to sign on to it, and they'll have input on what that declaration looks like.
A declaration of education.
Yes. And so, and then each community will have one if they want one. We're not going to ask communities to do things they don't want to do. But I tell you, if I'm a mayor, or I'm a leader of a community, a president of a council, or a town administrator or a town manager, and I can do 3 things in my community. One is to contribute to increasing education outcomes in my schools. By the way, it's for every student. It's not just, those centers are not just for public school. It's public school, Merrill Academy, charter schools, which are public. It's parochial, it's you know, private. It's every kid that lives in our community and focused on. But if I was a mayor and I could help kids reach their potential academically, and if I could help the families earn more money, and I could help the people who live in that community that could be healthier, I mean, I'd be banging down the door.
All right. There's one community of interest that we paid attention to here. We'll get the governor's take. Stay with us.
We're elected to do what's in the best interest of the residents of the city. And you get to the table, it's healthy to have a difference of opinion. It's healthy to hash things out and to see where it lands and then to move forward with the final product. And that's what I look forward to doing with this group of counselors.
You know, we paid a lot of attention to what I thought was the most incredible story of the campaign season, which is the Woonsocket City Council threw that mayor out. She went out and found a new council, which threw the guys that threw her out. Quick reflection on that in 30 seconds, because you've been saying that town is a high focus for you.
It's a major focus for me and the mayor as well. We've opened up an education center there that's going to help people you know, train up and certificate up on big, good paying jobs. We're going to really invest in the schools. We have the Mayoral Academy there as well, and the mayor is all in on the Mayoral Academy, but she's all in on the district schools. I'm going to be really working hard to see how we're going to get more money per student into that community. And as well as invest in the schools. Thank you to the voters for approving that $250 million school bond. And
Overwhelmingly.
And the $100 million at URI for the Bay campus. This is only
a little less overwhelmingly,
yes,
but
and I put another $40 million into the URI campus and $50 million into the school. So, yeah, Mayor Baldelli Hunt, we've known each other for a while. We're going to really try to really work very hard on behalf of the people in Woonsocket, but all 39 cities and towns.
All right, well, listen, great effort. Give me 10 seconds. Moral of the story.
I think it's just making sure you get to work every day, and regardless of the obstacles that you have working through the playground, make sure you do your best every day. My message to everybody, do your best every day. It's hard work. Only you know whether you did your best, but if everybody does their best in the state of Rhode Island, we get better and better every day.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Final word when we come back. More follow-up on the campaign that was and more weekdays 3 to 6 on WPRI. You have a great weekend. See ya.